Welcome to our 25 Women for 2020 Candidate Chat.
Good afternoon. We're so happy you can join us. Today we have two wonderful candidates to talk to. Our first candidate is Julie Snyder. She's running for House District in House of Representatives in District 33. She's from Muncie on the east side of the state of Indiana. We also have Brandi Vandivier, who is running from Rockville in House District 42 on the west side of Indiana. Brandi is a NICU, a neonatal nurse practitioner, and has a lot of great experience and knowledge about healthcare in Indiana. So she's going to make a great candidate and a great state representative. Julie is a high school teacher who teaches government and other AP classes, and so has a great background in education and has a great understanding of how this state needs to improve its education system. So I'm going to ask each candidate to say just a few things about yourself. So we'll start with Julie. Go ahead.
Hi, like Deb said, my name's Julie Snyder, and I'm running for House District 33, which encompasses the eastern and southern regions of Delaware County, and then all of Randolph County and all of Jay County. I've been a public school teacher for over 22 years, and at present time, I teach AP government and dual credit government to mostly seniors at Muncie Central High School. I am running basically because I've worked a lot from the outside in. I've lobbied our General Assembly for things such as teacher salaries and evaluation process changes, and really haven't been very effective at doing that, and working from a standpoint of union rep. So I felt like doing it from the inside would really be a great place to start. And I feel like anybody, not just a teacher, could do that. But for me, it was just my next step in trying to bring about change for the whole state, not just my own district.
Terrific. Brandi?
Hi, my name's Brandi Cooper Vandiver, and I'm running for House District 42. Like Deb said, I am a neonatal nurse practitioner. And if you know a nurse, it is everything that we do. It's our job. It's who we are. So I chose a platform of reviving Indiana with CPR. The C is children and families, P is public education, and R is right to healthcare transparency. All three of these priorities will benefit everybody in the state. And so I think they're all very important. They're all broad topics with lots of layers. So finding people who are committed to the long haul and to be able to make changes to improve the lives of our families and our students, and for the people in Indiana, I think will be very important this election year.
That's great. So now we have some questions for you. And Shannon's going to start. Shannon is our Director of Strategy here at 25 Women for 2020.
Thanks, everybody. Now more than ever, we see the importance of the candidate's ability to reach across the aisle and engage everyone on nonpartisan issues. History tells us that proactive planning is much more effective and fiscally responsible than being reactive. How will you as a legislator collaborate with all your colleagues to proactively ready our healthcare infrastructure system? And Brandi, please take that one first.
Hi, yeah, great question. That is being proactive, not reactive, has also been a big part of my platform, because as a nurse, we know that we need to be prepared for anything that's going to walk in the door. And so you will find as a group, we are very well prepared to think ahead, what can happen, what has happened, how can we learn from what we've done in the past to make things better. I think the biggest piece moving forward in order to work with others is going to be communication. And that is a never-ending issue, no matter where you work. But communication is going to be important because we all have different backgrounds, we all have different experiences, and even if we don't agree on a topic, there's common ground somewhere, and it's important to listen to where people are coming from and to listen to hear what they're saying and be heard, and not necessarily listening to be able to have a response or to support your particular position, because we can all learn from each other. So I think finding that common ground, a subject that is important to everybody, start from that that point of commonality, that we know that we need better healthcare. We know that we need to provide better access to healthcare and education for our students. So start there and have those conversations. Being respectful of other people's views is also important. We're not going to always see things the same way, and that's okay. But we still need to remember we have to have the conversations, and we have to work with each other to make sure we can get things done.
Thank you for that perspective, Brandi. Julie, tell us about yours.
If you just think of the word proactive, I see the pro in that, just like progress. And that's kind of the way I view being proactive. The only way to progress is if we go after the changes that we really need in the state. And as far as reaching across the aisle, one of my big messages I want to get across as I'm running is that I'm for Hoosiers first. I don't care what party you're from. I don't care what district you live in. I'm for all Hoosiers. If I'm elected, I'm not just going to, do things for the people from a certain area or the people from a certain party. I'm there for everybody. And reaching across the aisle, I think Brandi said it really well, that we have to agree on certain common issues like healthcare and education are perfect. I think most people understand that they're vital to everybody in Indiana. And so once we know that, then it's just a matter of trying to communicate to each other the best way to move forward. And really, we have so many more similarities than we do differences. It's just that we make a bigger deal about the differences than we do the similarities. So hopefully the common ground Brandi talked about, once we get that established, it'll be easy from there.
Thank you,
That's
Julie.
Great. All right. So I have a question about education. 95% of Indiana counties report that they have teacher shortages. And so I would like for both of you to talk about how that's impacting your district and what you can do as a legislator to improve that. We can start with you, Julie.
Okay, great. Thanks for the question. One of the things that I lobbied the General Assembly about 2 years ago on a day of action was this very thing. We had an opening in our department, and I'm the department chair, so I sat in on interviews. We had 2 applicants who neither were qualified. And normally a social studies position is something that you just have a whole basket of people applying for the jobs. And that's when I first started realizing that we were in trouble. And that's social studies. That's not English or math, where we're having a lot of trouble getting qualified people to teach. And so when I went to talk to legislators, I asked them what they thought we should do about the shortage. And they didn't seem to think it was a problem, because it's okay that we hire people from, outside of education to teach classes. As long as they have a degree, it's okay. And as an educator, that was just broke my heart, because there's more to being a teacher than just having a 4-year degree in something. And the training, that's what has to be there. And I feel like that's what is hurting us right now. We're getting teachers who have not been trained as educators. In our district alone, we have hundreds of people working on emergency licenses. They're not licensed in a certain area, but they're still being allowed to teach. And I feel like that's detrimental to our students. It's detrimental to the progress of what we want to do in Indiana. So without looking at the issues like salaries, looking at issues like benefits, really appreciating what teachers do, and why it's important that we have better training for teachers and try to attract them through whether it's signing bonuses or just better working conditions. Unless we do that, I think that it's only going to get worse in Indiana. And I think Brandi's probably seeing it in her district as well. You can't keep good teachers. The teachers that are leaving are the ones who just can't make it. They can't afford to buy a home. They can't afford to start a family. And that's devastating, because those teachers and that, new teachers up to 10 years are the ones who are really hurting right now. And usually they're those young, vital teachers that do everything in the building, and we're losing them. we're losing them not just to a different school system, but they're leaving education. And that's what we have to stop.
That's great. Thank you, Julie. That was really helpful. So, Brandi, you also sit on the school board, I believe, in your area. Is that right?
I do sit. And so we are definitely seeing this in our corporation and district-wide as well. A lot of what Julie talked about we're seeing is statewide, we have students who are not going into teaching at all. We do have staff who are on emergency licenses. I think she brings up a great point about people teaching who don't have a background in education. I have a large background in health. Does that mean I could walk into a high school and teach it? I don't think it does, because you have a lot of students who have special developmental needs, emotional needs, learning needs, all that sort of stuff. So just because you know a content does not mean that you can necessarily teach it. Are there people who can? Probably. I can't say blanket, that there's nobody that can do it. But is that, as a parent, what I want is to gamble, just because you're really good in business or really good in health, that you can go and teach these kids, because we get one chance to do this. They don't get a do-over. And so while we're trying to figure out how to get good qualified teachers in and get them to stay, we have kids moving through the system who may be adversely affected by the decisions that are being made. We have been lucky around here. Ivy Tech has been fantastic for us. They've helped a lot with getting our kids resources, because especially the rural districts, the option of funding for a referendum is probably not going to happen for the small rural areas. You see a lot of them defeated. And so what happens is, if you don't have enough funding, then services have to be cut or positions have to be cut. And those are choices as a board member and a community you don't want to have to make, because when you start eliminating those positions, those are people who live in your community, their students go to your school. And it's not what we want to do. The schools are the heart of the community, and we really should be supporting that. And a big part of that is making sure that you can recruit and retain good teachers. Is it fair to expect a senior to go into a 4-year college degree, come out with $40,000 in debt and make $30,000 a year? I mean, we're making them decide if they want to do the service or if they're going to live their life in debt to be able to provide that service. And I don't think that it doesn't have to be that way. I've done the same thing as Julie, meeting with legislators. I talked with the State Board of Education. I've testified at those as well. I met with Dr. McCormick. What can we do? And I think she's right. The current legislators do not see this as a problem. When we talked with them, the response was, well, just ask for a referendum. Well, I don't think that would go around here. Well, then they blame the board. Well, the board's who sets the salaries and stuff, which is true, but it's based on the money that we're given from the state. And when all that funding changed in 2008, we have yet to recover from that. And I fear moving forward with what we're currently going through, when we have our school funding based on sales and income tax, if you have people who aren't working, our funding is going to get hit again in this next coming year. I think I have a huge heart and want to support teachers any way I can. I will always tell people I did not miss my calling as a teacher. They are a special group of people to go in and do that work day in and day out. And they love our kids, when they're there, and they want to see them succeed. And I think what we need to do is figure out and listen to them and how we can support them. And that's not happening right now. And I think putting people in there who want to do that will be important moving forward. And the thing I do want to say will be important this year, electing a governor as well, is Jennifer McCormick's position will no longer be an elected position. It's going to be an appointed position. And they wrote it so that it does not have to be somebody who has a background in education. So this makes me very nervous that we're going to have somebody in there who may not have a background in education, making education decisions. So having a legislature who has background and has a passion for making sure those resources are there will be very, very important.
Thanks to both of you. It's so great to hear from people that understand that public education really is the foundation of any great society. Next question. I'll go to you, Brandi, first. There are a few healthcare bills that did not get passed this session concerning people with diabetes and their needs, EpiPens for kids, work accommodations for pregnant women, prescription drug pricing, and transparency in medical billing. When you are a legislator, which one of these issues would you like to take on first?
First and foremost is going to be the priority of supporting pregnant mothers and their families. As a neonatal nurse practitioner, I see that this is a huge need. We are in the top 10 of the worst states for infant morbidity and mortality. We need resources that go to that. We know that there are certain things that put these moms at risk for early delivery, making sure they get the prenatal care that they need. And then once the baby's born, we know that breast milk is best. Not everybody can do it, and that's okay. But we need to support those moms who want to breastfeed, but who have to go back to work. They talk about the laws that that the employers are required to find a place for moms to pump and provide breast milk. But the reality is that there are lots of places that do not do that. They are not paid for that time. What was brought up this year was making sure that they could take adequate breaks, water breaks, pumping breaks. And it's not like we're not asking for 4 hours a day. You're talking 10 to 15 minutes, once or twice when you're at work to be able to provide breast milk that we know decreases chances of certain cancers in mom. It improves wellness in babies, less infections in babies, less ear infections. So we know that the benefits are there. It's whether we're willing to invest on the front end or if we want to pay for it on the back end. And it goes back to being proactive versus reactive. We have good data that says that these things are important. And we had the opportunity, and we had people who tried to put that forward for that to pass, but did not have the support. And so we need more people in there who are willing to support these initiatives to help these moms and to help these babies be healthy.
Thank you so much, Brandi. And to you, Julie?
Shannon, I don't know if I could just pick one. I think they're all.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I think they're all priorities. And I think that as a legislator, I would be interested in having all of those things included in our policies. To me, kind of like Brandi pointed out, it's kind of like common sense. Why do we not already have that? Those are things that should already be in place. They should have been in place years ago. And I think if anything, this pandemic has shown us how just so unprepared we are for something like this, healthcare wise. I feel like the EpiPens you talked about and the what else did you say?
Transparency and medical billing.
Transparency. I mean, why don't we have that already? But it really just points to just so many of the problems we have with our healthcare system. You mentioned being proactive. I feel like that's been one thing missing in our healthcare system for so long. Have you ever noticed that when you go to the doctor, they're willing to treat something once you get it, but they don't want to prevent anything. They don't want to, your insurance will not pay to prevent something from happening. For example, weight loss. They don't want to help people lose weight, but they want to wait until after you have problems with that, like high blood pressure or diabetes. Then they'll help with that. I feel like our whole system needs to be revamped. We need to be proactive in helping people prevent disease, prevent things that are in the long term are going to cost more for our state, more for our country to treat than the actual prevention. But I'm also a huge advocate of a healthcare system where it's universal healthcare. Everything, healthcare is a right, not a privilege. Just because someone has money, they should not be able to have better healthcare than someone who doesn't make as much. And, as a teacher, definitely that's something that I'll never have a ton of money. So does that mean I shouldn't get as good a care as someone else? So I'm sorry, I kind of went away from your original question, but to me, it's all connected. The healthcare system in general just needs totally overhauled because all of those things should be part of our policies.
That's great. I can't tell you how impressed I am with both of you. You are going to make wonderful legislators in our state house. We are just, you know, it would be just a gift for both of you to be serving. And I want to reiterate what you were saying, Julie, about the healthcare system. I just read an article today in the Indianapolis Star about rural hospitals who are going broke, who are, you know, may close because they are financially unable to maintain their operations. And especially now because of the coronavirus, and they've had to cancel all of the elective surgeries, they're saying that that's where the profit is. So if they can't be doing those surgeries, and they're just preparing now for this, you know, surge of people. And so they are financially, you know, overstrained. And so it again points out this problem of just having this for-profit healthcare system that isn't really serving the people. And so we know already that in rural areas, hospitals are closing. And so now this will even exacerbate that problem much more. Absolutely. So sorry to throw my, sorry, I can't help it. But anyway, so I mean to ask you a question. So my question is really just, I kind of want to throw it open and say, you know, what other concerns are you seeing in your districts, and what are you planning to do about those issues when you are a state legislator? So we'll start with you, Julie.
Okay, well, the healthcare that you brought up, my district is really, really rural once you get out of Delaware County. There's one hospital in Randolph County, I believe, and one hospital in Jay County. And so I don't know if you guys know how big those counties are, but they're huge. And so most of the people in those counties live, you know, an hour away from a hospital if they need care. But then also those hospitals, like you said, do not have the funding to have an ICU or have maybe a NICU that is adequate when people need it. And so definitely for me, healthcare is a huge issue in the district that I would represent. So much poverty in my district, which has led to a huge opioid problem that is just out of control. And as of yet, nobody can seem to come up with a solution to it. It's one of the biggest issues in Jay County. And I definitely think the poverty issue is causing that. And then let's go to unemployment. You know, they've been touting these unemployment numbers at the national level like it's a great thing. Not so much when you have people working jobs where they can't even afford to pay their bills. So yes, we have unemployment rates that are low, but we have underemployment rates that are sky high. Okay, people who maybe used to make, you know, $20 an hour at a manufacturing job are now making $8 an hour and trying to survive. And so for my district, underemployment is probably the biggest issue that I want to tackle, is to try to get higher paying jobs into my district that can allow people to really be able to live, you know, to be able to own a home instead of having to rent. People be able to have a car so they have transportation to get back and forth places. Yeah, it's just a sad reality that a lot of people in our country can't afford to own a home and own a car at the same time. How sad is that? That was one of the things, if you think about the 50s and how our economy just soared, that was one of the things that our government was super proud of, that people had enough money, were making enough money to be able to raise a family, raise that nuclear family with, you know, a car and a home. How many people in our country now can't say that? And so for me, yeah, education's my thing, but it leads to all of those other issues going on in the country: the lack of economic development, the lack of high paying jobs, lack of healthcare, all of that.
That's great. Yeah, there are so many issues, and you know, and like you point out, when we talk about education issues and healthcare issues, there are all these underlying problems that lead to issues in there. So Brandi, tell me about concerns that you're seeing in your district and what you're going to do about them as a state legislator.
Sure. So I picked my priorities with my district in mind. So I'm going to kind of go through those. So children and families. We live in what's referred to as a child care desert. And so finding good quality daycare for families can be challenging in our area. Having a livable wage is really important because childcare does cost. And so you don't want to make it so expensive that it's not worth somebody working where you're choosing one or the other. So for families to be able to make enough money that they can live on and do those sorts of things that Julie talked about. I actually would love to see the state do some sort of paid leave for families. And I think that our current crisis is really highlighting the need for this. Because if there was some sort of system, and different states do it different ways, so it can be employee funded, employer funded, it can be a combination of the two. It would be working together with everyone to figure out what the best option for Indiana would be. But if we had some sort of paid leave, then people could be, if they were laid off for a time like this, then there would be that bank to pull from, because not everybody has sick leave. There, I think Indiana is less than 20% has some access to some type of paid leave if they're off for any extended amount of time. So that would be a really good thing for us to have. We also live in an OB desert, so we have only a county, one county that has the delivery services in it. The surrounding counties do not have delivery services. We do actually met with a couple of weeks ago. We do have a federally qualified health center here in the area who's doing a lot of really good work. And they will need help expanding and being able to offer these services to folks. And so being able to support that group at the state level, I think would be an awesome opportunity. Public education, I think that definitely is near and dear to those in our area. Because we want kids who can think critically, who have the opportunity for classes that they enjoy to figure out what they want to do. We do not want kids who can just sit down and take a test, because if you look at what we're going through right now, it doesn't matter what they did on a standardized test. We need critical thinkers who can think on their feet to problem solve when something comes up that's not planned for. And that's the type of environment that we need. And these teachers can do that if we give them the tools to do that. So I think supporting them in that would be important. And then right to healthcare transparency. There's so many layers to this, and there's so many moving parts. I think at the most basic level, we have got to know what the cost of a service is. There's no other thing that I can think of where the provider who's giving the service doesn't know what they're going to be paid, and the person who's going in for the service doesn't know how much it's going to cost them. I mean, we want people to be good stewards of their health and their money, but we really don't have a system set up for them to be able to do that. So I think making prices transparent, easily accessible to people. So if you need a MRI and it's $100 at one place, and you can go 20 minutes down the road and it's $50 or whatever, I'm just throwing out numbers, that's not how much an MRI is, then you can choose to be a better steward of your money. But when you have no idea where to find that information, then it's hard to be able to be that person. So I think that will be very, very important for our area. And then just making sure, like, we're rural, making sure that we do have clinics and access for people moving forward.
Wow, thank you both for your thoughtful responses. We've talked about the concerns and challenges we have in Indiana, and especially in your districts. In these uncertain times, I think it's important to focus on what's going well. Let's talk about something positive. Brandi, what's going well in your district? Tell me some good things that are going on in your community.
So I'm super proud of my community, because we, as healthcare workers, we've all seen it. We are running short on personal protective equipment. We're running out of masks. We're running low on gloves. We're running low on gowns. All those sort of things that those frontline healthcare givers need in order to be able to do their job safely and effectively. And it is amazing to me. There was a call to action and people found fabric and elastic and got out their sewing machines and, did what they needed to do to get a bunch of masks available for the healthcare workers in our area. People want to help. They want to do, they want to make things better. Sometimes it's just knowing what you can do for somebody. So if there is a need, don't hesitate to reach out, because there are people who want to fill that need and that can do it from home safely. So I've been very proud of that. Our community has a lot of small businesses, so they've had to revamp kind of how they do their business. They do carry out. A lot of the restaurants are doing carry out. I've seen where people are buying gift certificates from these businesses to use at a later date that kind of help keep them going now. So just lots of people doing lots of different things to help during this really difficult time. And it makes me really proud to be part of the small community when people just reach out and just do what needs to be done.
Thank you. And Julie, shine a light on your community. What's going on there?
I was going to kind of mention the same types of things. I have 11 school districts in my District 33, and every one of them has a lunch program that they've been providing to their students during this time, during the pandemic. And so many people volunteering to help, coming in and helping get the food ready for the children to take home. We even have them in Muncie. They go out on buses. The buses take them around on the normal routes and deliver the food and any homework that the teachers might have sent along to the kids, so people don't have to get out of their houses, which I think is just so amazing that they've been able to organize all of that. We have the same thing, people coming together and making masks and other type of equipment for healthcare workers, which I think is super cool. My aunt's been sewing masks and my sister's been sewing masks. The small business thing has just been very cool. I joined a group on Facebook of people in Delaware County who started help the small businesses survive type of a thing. And we all get on there every day and we put how we helped a small business that day, whether we ordered food or ordered something from them online. It's just kind of overwhelming to see how people come together in a crisis like this. And I'm from Delaware County, but most of my district is rural towns and communities. And it's just amazing to see what people are doing for each other. The positives very much outweigh the negatives that have been going on around here.
It's great. So I think, Shannon, we're going to wrap up. And I do want to remind everyone that today is Equal Pay Day, which means that women worked all last year and up until today to make the same amount of money that men on average doing the very same work made in last year. So, happy Equal Pay Day. So Shannon, I think you want to do some concluding remarks, right?
Thanks everybody for watching this video and joining us. If you're sitting at home and you're feeling frustrated, you have some time on your hands maybe, something you can do is go to the websites of Brandi and Julie, go to their social media, follow them, comment, share their posts, and consider about going to their Act Blue and investing in their campaign. And then do the same for us if you could. 25 Women for 2020. You've seen 2 of our candidates today. We had 2 yesterday. That means we have 20 more to show you, and we are so excited to do that. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, how can I help from home? Just inbox us. We'll tell you. We have lots of stuff you can do right from your very own home, from the comfort and safety there. Thank you so much to the candidates. Thank you for all that have watched this. And I look forward to our next event. Go to our Facebook page, 25 Women for 2020, and you'll know then when our next event will happen. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. See you later.